Everybody, welcome back with the Purplatypus is the name of today. We are going to be talking about the 5 lower rarity characters I think you should be using. Now, I'll be honest, there's not that many characters in the game in general. So when I don't include your favorite lower rarity character on here, don't get mad, all right? I'm including most of the characters on here, but I figured it'd give me a chance to just kind of go over my favorite lower rarity characters, why they're my favorite, and what I think they're good at. We're going to do more in-depth videos for each of them. This is going to be a little more surface level, but these are characters you might want to consider investing in, especially early on as a free-to-play player. You don't want to, you're probably not going to have a team of legendary units at this point. So these are going to be the units that will be able to help you get further. And then, yeah, we'll talk about units that they pair really well with in general. So let us go to the refitting room. And can we organize this by combat effectiveness? Nah, by rarity. All right. So first, we're just going to get it out of the way because it's a bit of a spoiler, or it's, whatever. It was yesterday's video. Lotta. If you want a full breakdown of Lotta, look at yesterday's video. I think she is one of the best characters of the lower rarities in the game, for sure. I mean, she's making it on my top 5 list. She is a little bit narrow in the sense that she is AoE, which is really good early game, really good mid game. I do suspect her damage is going to fall off late game, but she's also just not really designed for a single target, destroy the boss thing. I kind of did a whole video on her already, but the reason why she's good is that we're all in the early game right now. She's free to max out, so she will punch above her weight purely from in the early version of the game, just because we don't have maxed out stuff. However, she is going to be able to max out her weapon, so this is going to give her a crazy amount of stats. I mean, anyone could use this weapon, but you're going to be able to get a maxed out purple weapon. You are going to be able to go to her neural helix, her fortification. You're going to be able to get this up to, if you're playing all the event stuff, I think you can get it up to segment 6. But even if you can only get it up to segment 5 because you missed something, that's fine as well. So she's just going to have great stats, great equipment, and so she is going to be very powerful in the early game. However, her skills are also really good, right? She could do this giant AoE every single turn. It does good damage. She could use, if you use your extra command to then give herself attack up, then she's getting a 10-15% attack boost every turn, hitting for 100%. Also, if they're weak to ice, she's doing a follow-up attack with cold snap. She also just has a pretty decent thing here. You can knock enemies off of maps if you get one of her neural helixes. Overall, just everything about her kit is good. Watch yesterday's video for a little bit more info on it. Also, she works incredibly good with Suomi, because Suomi gets to apply a ice weakness to everybody. When you put down frost tiles here, frost tiles give enemy units weakness to freeze. And that means all of her attacks, even if Lotta, they're not weak to freeze, she will be able to get that bonus on cold snap on her ultimate, because if they're weak to cold to freeze, she will cold snap them and then follow up with an attack when they're affected by cold snap, right? So very good. Also works good with one of the most popular characters in the game. I don't think it's a coincidence. This is one of the most common characters because a lot of people re-rolled specifically for this character, and then this is a free character in the very first event that was launched with the launch of the game. So they definitely work really good together. Also, she does work really good with my favorite character in the game here. It's because every time you do AoE damage, she basically does a follow-up attack. All of her attacks are AoE. All right, there's the first one. Now you're gonna see a little bit of bias here, of course. All right. The second one I'm going with is Lara. So I think Lara is not really spoken about at all from what I've seen, but she is kind of just a house. She's just great. So she has this systematic breakdown passive, which is really, it reads weak, but it's powerful with my account, which is why I'm ranking it pretty high. At the end of the action, deals AoE physical damage to equal to 30% of attack and 1 point of stability damage to the nearest target within range under a defense debuff. And you get a point of the mana, basically. So this basically does a 30% attack, and it does a little bit of stability. This is not very good on its own because they have to have a debuff, right? A defensive debuff, and you're doing a light hit, and you're only doing 1 point of stability. But this is her passive. It's not including her other stuff. But the reason why this is good is because it works with her. This is considered an AoE attack, right? It does do AoE physical damage, and so it will trigger her chain this character's, what's her name's? Purdia. It will trigger her chain reaction. Now, if you don't have Purdia, I will admit, Lara is going to be a little bit weaker on your account, and this is someone I probably wouldn't use unless I had Purdia. However, if we come over here and we look at the, I know where it's at. I'll go to the dispatch room. We go over to the dispatch shop, not the dispatch shop. Ah, dang it, Plat, come on. The dispatch mystery boxes here. If you look at the mystery boxes, you can see Purdia actually drops from these mystery boxes. Now it's not common. It just has low probability. It could be 1%. It could be 0.001%. This isn't a paid gacha, so they don't need to show us the rates. But this is a potentially character we're all going to get for free eventually. Although probably not, sooner rather than later is probably not an apt description of that. But still, because of the way it works, I do think that she is going to be worth getting. But besides that, if you don't have Purdia, what else does she do? So her skills are all just good AoE damage in general, and good at debuffs. That's like her thing, is she debuffs. So you select a target with an 8 tiles, so pretty big range, and it has a pretty big AoE effect as well. Hits all the targets within 2 range for 80% damage and applies vulnerable, so they take more damage, and it is considered a defense debuff. So this attack will trigger this attack, right? So it says 80%, but it's really 80% and a 30%, right? Although if you're putting defensive debuffs on multiple targets, you don't always get to choose what she's going to hit. She just does whatever's closest, but then maybe her best attack, this ability is nutso butso. It doesn't do that much damage, I'll admit, but it's one direction. So you just pick one of the 4 cardinal directions, 3x8, huge area. It just attacks things so far away, and it does a okay amount of damage. I mean, it's bad. It does a bad amount of damage, but it is relevant. But it also destroys cover, all destructible cover, and it gives them everything in here, defense down too. And then you could potentially, if you hit 3 targets, you could use it again next turn because it gets its own cooldown thing. But the fact that you get a 30% defense down on this big of an area is huge. And you can even make it, it goes up to 3.8, 3x8 in front. I wonder if it includes the tile in front of her. Not really sure. I didn't even look at the of these upgrades because mine aren't really that high right now. But then her ultimate is just a badass skill. She is a really good, so another thing worth noting here, in addition to destroying cover, even though this says 1 stability, and again, this says 2 stability, this actually deals an additional point of stability because of her systematic breakdown. And the ultimate here is, again, just pretty darn good. 8 tiles away, you don't need to target a specific enemy with this one, so it's very similar to the other one. It does 85% damage, but if they have a defensive debuff, which hopefully they do, also the fact that this isn't target a unit, but it's a target spot, makes it so much easier to aim and hit multiple things. Does 95% damage instead of 85, and does 4 points of stability damage. So that's quite a lot of stability damage in general. And then again, really it's going to come up to 5 with another 30%. So she's good at stability damage. She's good at debuffing enemies. She's good at destroying cover. And if you have Purdia, I forget how to say her name every time. It just doesn't read like a name to me. She actually does insanely good damage because every time she does any of these abilities, you're suddenly getting that follow-up attack. And so you're getting this to trigger at least minimum of 2 times with her. If you're hitting 1 target, you can get that ability to trigger twice just with this character on 1 target. But again, if you're hitting multiple targets with this and this, you could easily get all 6 triggers of this. So very, very powerful character. One that I really like, but again, this is because I'm kind of doing an AoE team right now. Now, if you want to get to more generically good, I actually think Sharkry is really good in general. So she has I don't know why, but my fortification one, she is like already almost maxed out, right? I only have 1 more. At the start of every action, gains a stack of zoomed in is actually kind of crazy. But she's very, very good even without that. So let's kind of take a look at what she does. At the start of the action, she gains a point of mana, whatever you want to call it, I guess. When Overburn is applied to an enemy target, you gain 1 point of mana. Critical rates increase by 30% against targets with overburn, and critical damage is increased by 3% per buff effect on this unit up to a maximum of 15%. Honestly, I think most of this is bad. Generating extra mana is pretty reasonable for her ultimate because it costs 3, so you get to use it more frequently if you get it. But for the most part, this is pretty bad. Really what she is about is she is all about this ultimate, which not all characters are, but I understand a lot of characters are about the ultimate, right? Gains a stack of zoom in as well as damage up for a turn, and actually gets up to we already have it rank 3. So the zoom in, the effects of zoom in are enhanced, increasing damage dealt by 5%. So zoom in now does 20% damage. Maybe it's 25, but as well as you also get damage up and you get zoom in for 1 turn, gains an instance of extra command. So you get to go again immediately. You just don't get a move. So you want to move before you use this, and then you are set. So you get a stack of zoom in, which is just very good, right? It's going to give you 20% more damage and increase the stability damage you deal by 2 points. And you can get it twice. You can get this effect to stack twice. So this one just gives you an instant stack of it. But if you come over here, selects 1 enemy target within 8 tiles, and then you apply overburn for 2 turns, and you deal burn damage equal to 140% attack to them. If the user is under the effects of zoom in, you increase the stability damage dealt by 1 point. So this does 3 stability damage, but it really does 4 stability damage, and then it really does 6 stability damage if you have this. And the amount of damage it does is actually 140%, but you're also getting the fact that they have overburn, you know, so that'll trigger. And then you're also getting the fact that the zoom in increases your damage, and then the damage up increases your damage as well. So if you're using basically this to get the zoom in, and then you're attacking, applying overburn, doing a heavy amount of damage, I mean, it's all just really strong. She's really, really good at breaking stability. We didn't even go over her last skill here. Selects 1 enemy target within 8 tiles, deals physical damage equal to 150% of the attack. You gain zoom in. If the target is, so you gain zoom in just after you use this attack, which is cool. So you could use this, and then you can next turn you can have both stacks, right? Because this happens after the attack. It doesn't say you get to zoom in before the attack. I haven't experimented with it enough to actually know for sure. If the target is inflicted with overburn, you apply 2 stacks of flammable before the attack. So the flammable is when taking burn damage, increased stability damage taken by 2 points, and the attacker recovers 2 points of stability. So actually, oh man, this ability is so good. Each time burn damage is taken, 1 stack is consumed. But then if they have overburn, you do 2 stacks before the attack, and you change the type of damage to burn damage. If the enemy is killed, you get an additional stack of zoom in. So basically, if you get them with overburn, which you could do with lots of characters, this is not a rare ability to have, right? There's overburn is on several things, so she doesn't even need to initiate it herself. Although she can, right? She could overburn them for 2 turns. The following turn, use this, and it'll still work the same. Then you'll have basically get all your zoom ins, right? But so this is what you're gonna do. Let's say you get both your zoom ins, because you get it at the end of this. So you have 2 zoom ins, and they have overburn, and thus you put flammable. So when they're flammable, this does 3 stability damage, but it actually does 5 stability damage because they take an additional 2 points. But also it does 7 stability damage because you have zoom in, but you actually have 2 stacks of zoom in. So it's actually doing 9 stability damage with 150%, and you're then doing burn damage instead of the normal damage. And it's just like all this shit works together very well. It's all just good. Zoom in is a very powerful ability. It just increases your damage and increases the amount of stability. Now, if you want pure damage, I don't think she's going to be literally the best in the game or anything like that. But for a good damage and a great single target stability breaker, I mean, everything in her kit is good. She has no dead skills, and she's just honestly totally fantastic. And I know, like, I don't particularly love her passive, but again, the critical rate, critical damage, and 3% per, and critical damage increased by 3% per buff on this unit up to a maximum of 15. So overall, I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong, it is actually really good. And then at the start of the action, you gain zoom in. That's when it goes crazy. If you just have passively a zoom in, you just every single turn you're guaranteed to do 2 more 2 to 4 more stability damage than what's listed. So she is great at stability and great at damage. I like her a lot, and I plan on using her more as my best team starts to hit a ceiling and I need to level up additional teams to push content with more specialized stuff. The Overburn team is definitely going to be one I go to next. So in a similar but also very different role, I actually think Nemesis is one of the best characters in the game for free-to-play players. One, you get her for free, right? Everyone has her. You don't even have to do a single pull and you get her. And she just does, she is all about doing that single target damage. In fact, I have a bunch of copies of her. I don't know if you get her from playing the story or if I just pulled some copies. I actually don't recall. But she is just, this is the simplest character in the game, and she's very good. At the start of the action, marks 2 nearest targets with Prophecy of Morning. Basically, whenever you saw a different ally attacks them, she will follow up and attack them. You could even have her attack them first because she gets like an ability that if they have the prophecy, you do an extra 10% damage. That's okay. That means you could like use it first. It doesn't get rid of it, and then they can attack, and then you can follow up doing more damage. Basically, 2 targets for 2 turns are going to get Prophecy of Morning. Whenever your ally attacks it, she is going to shoot them. It only activates 1 time per turn, I think, per target. So I think she can target each of them once. The action support deals 80% attack and 2 points of stability. So it's not exactly as strong as I mean, I guess it is literally her normal attack. It would be nice if it was 100%, but maybe that's a bit busted. But after she does this, so turn starts, boom, boom. 2 targets within 9 tiles get Prophecy of Morning. Ally attacks them, she follows up and attacks them to make their attack even stronger, adds stability and damage to their attack. She also gains insight. This is kind of a rare thing. I don't think I've seen it on any other characters yet. I'm sure it's out there, but I just haven't noticed it. Increase the range of the ultimate skill by 1 tile. That doesn't sound insane, but once we get into her ultimate, it actually is pretty darn good. This goes up to 10 tiles. This is this allows you to outrange pretty much everything in the game, right? I don't know anything else that has a 10 tile range. I'm sure there's something. Maybe the legendary sniper has a 10 range thing, but her ultimate is basically what you're going to want to be doing most of the time. You select 1 enemy target within 9 or sometimes 10 tiles. You deal corrosion damage equal to 170% of attack, but for each additional point of the mana you have, basically, you increase this damage by 10%. So this costs 3. You could have up to 6. If you have 6, it only consumes 3. You don't use all 6 of it. You only use 3, but this will do 200% damage. That's a pretty damn big attack. And then if you get this leveled up, when Insight's active, yes, it'll have more range. Also, it'll have 10% more damage. And then for each buff on the target, increase critical rate by 20% up to 100%. Sorry, each debuff on the target on them. So you can have a guaranteed crit if they have 5 debuffs, which isn't that hard to do with certain characters. I'm not sure exactly what team you'd want to make this very easy to do with. My team is very easy because the LMG characters, every time they hit something, they hit it with a debuff stack. So very easy on my team, but she doesn't really fit into the team, but whatever. Doesn't matter. Point is guaranteed crit, 200% damage. She does that job well. Is she as good as the legendary variant of her? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Honestly, I haven't experimented that much, but I will say for a free-to-play player, this character hits like a truck. Now, her other abilities all basically do a similar thing. She does have defense down too. Now, this doesn't have that massive AoE like the other character has, but this does do pretty good damage in general, and it helps ramp her up so she could use her more powerful hits. So sometimes you are going to like it. You do apply it, the defense down before attacking, which is good. And then I think you do. It doesn't say that you do, but it's first. It says you apply defense down for 1 turn and you deal physical damage. So I assume it will affect your damage and make it go up. And then this is just, again, another reasonable attack. You do 130% if they're in cover. When attacking near cover, so if they're in cover or they're around cover, you do extra damage and you gain extra mana. And then you can also do extra damage. Overall, like, this ability is kind of like really, really mid. You're basically trying to just one-shot people with your ultimate and follow up attacking for people. And then occasionally you are going to want to use the defense down if you don't have any other ways to debuff on the team. But this is not getting up to that guaranteed crit chance. But still, even then, like, maybe you don't need a 100% crit chance on this, right? Maybe if you have a 40-60% crit chance, you just have passive, like, and you know, your weapons and stuff can make up the difference there. So yeah, overall, very, very good character. Simple. She just does single target damage, and when your other allies attack, she follows up with it. Now, fifth and finally, I had to think about this one a little bit. I did go through all the characters, the remaining characters of lower rarity, and I decided which one I thought was the best of them, and that is going to be Colphne. Colphne? Maybe the E is silent. So this character is way better than I thought, but also has some glaring weaknesses in my opinion. So she's basically entirely carried by the fact that this skill and her passive work really well together. And these two skills, I won't say they suck, but in general, they're bad and they're going to fall off more and more and more, especially in a game where most people got a way better support rate off the gate. However, these two skills will make her very viable in a lot of teams, I think. But let's kind of go over her not good stuff and why I think they're not good. So this is a healing character. Basically, she has a single target heal, and now don't get me wrong, this is a strong heal. Does a big heal and applies continuous healing and applies continuous stability. So this could do a lot of stability healing, a lot of healing, and it could do it over time as well. If it fully restores their HP, you apply it, you give them a buff for 2 turns, and you get a point of mana. This is fine. This doesn't even have a cooldown, and it doesn't have a cost. You can just do this every turn. So why is this ability not good? Typically, when it comes to healing, it's a little bit like, the thing is, this is mostly a healing ability, right? It gives you stability and healing. It can give you a buff, but it's like one random buff that's not very high value. You typically, with healing things like this, you don't want to trade 1 turn for 1 turn. Like, if you take your whole turn healing and they take their turn bringing you back down, they take your turn healing, like, in general, you want to have a better action economy than this. Like, you want healing that can hit multiple targets, right? And the difference of like AoE damage versus single target damage, sometimes single target is way better because you can kill something, and sometimes AoE is better because you can deal a little bit of damage to everything. But when it comes to healing, typically going all out healing something one target as much as you can is not usually a good way to use your action economy, unless there's like some other upside where it's like, okay, you're not just getting a buff, you're getting a bunch of other stuff as well. It's like, yeah, you're topped off your healing, but you're also getting you know, shelter and like guaranteed crit on your next attack, or you're getting invisibility so they can't just knock you back down. You know, like, and there's like some combo potential, but typically healing with an action is not good when it's you're healing one character, right? And so that's kind of where her ult falls into. It's very similar. It just heals a bunch, and if either of these skills had something like you could act again, like if this had a 2-turn cooldown, but you got the ability to act again, suddenly it'd be pretty decent because you could heal something, and then you could use your ultimate to heal something else. I think that would be good, but this removes taunt and fear, cleanses 2 debuffs. It's like, it's okay to have this is fine, but it's weird to have both of these single target healing things. I'm not a big fan of either of these, but let's talk about the other thing we got going on here. Her passive is pretty darn good. When an enemy unit within range receives targeted damage from an allied unit, she does the follow-up attack. So she basically does the same thing that Nemesis does, although her range is 6 instead of 9, and she does basically no damage. All right, her damage is very, very low. It does 80% of her attack, and she also just has like a really low attack stat in general. Her weapon isn't very powerful, and her whole entire kit is not about dealing damage, but she does do a little bit of, basically, I would say, chip damage. But what's most important is it also does 3 points of stability damage. That's a lot of stability damage to tack on to a random ability, and it applies attack up to the allied unit. So not even her, it gives attack up to the other unit, and I believe you get up to attack up 2. No, this one's stuck at attack up 1, but you get to go up to attack up. So you give 10%, something's going to attack. Your character that wants to deal damage will attack. Before they attack, she attacks, pop. The fact that she goes first is really good, actually, because if that 3 stability breaks their stability, now your other character is going to be doing even more damage, but she'll pop them for a little bit of damage, but then she'll get the stability damage, and then she'll apply attack up to the good unit. That's really powerful. And they get it for 2 turns as well. You also get a point of your mana back, which is like pretty irrelevant because she only has 1 ability. And it's like 2, I guess. This can be triggered once per turn. All right, so you only get to do the follow-up once. It's not like infinite times, except we'll get to that in a second. When applying an active heal to an allied unit, if they are stability broken, additionally restores 4 points of stability index. So basically, if you're healing someone and normally they have 10 stability, but they're at 0, when you heal that thing that gives them 4 stability, it'll actually give them 8 stability or something. It'll basically give them 4 more. Now that is a 2-turn cooldown, but this part is good, but it's definitely narrow. It's only healing someone. It's an active heal when they're stability broken to get that effect, but getting a bunch of stability break is good, don't get me wrong. But now, the best ability in her whole kit, honestly. And it gets level 2, I think, relatively easily too, right? It gets it at segment 2, so it should be very easy. So before you get the rank up here, it's not that good, but this thing goes sicko mode once you have the next ability here. Stability damage 4, so it is a 130% hydro damage stability attack. Light ammo hydro, so sometimes this will break 8, right, if they're weak to both light ammo and hydro, and you get the exploit on both of those. But just baseline, 4 stability damage, single target. Not very good, but that's a good amount of stability damage. It's fine. And the damage looks like it's a high percentage, but remember, she just doesn't have that much attack, so it's not actually that much. Additionally, restores HP equal to 100% of attack to an allied unit with the lowest HP. So what's really good about this, so you get to actually attack and you get to do stability, which is very important. You also get to heal. In addition, you're already doing the thing you want to do. Your stability you're damaging, your stability, you're healing, all in one move, which is very good on a 1-turn cooldown. Also, that heal, if your character with the lowest HP, which they probably are, if their stability broken and they're almost dying, that heal will also recover the 4 stability. So it does synergize with that. But then what's crazy is if you get this up to the level 2, you gain 1 additional use of action support this turning, meaning this first part can trigger twice. So when you're, because I was testing this earlier because I wanted to see if it was good. So you get to use this to break 4 stability, do a little bit of damage, heal someone up that needed to be healed. Now, whenever an ally attacks, you're also going to do another 3 and then another 6 points of stability with another 160% damage. And you're going to give 2 different units attack up buffs while also having healed them. And it's just, it's very, very strong. Battlefield Glow combined with medical contingency is very powerful. However, her other abilities here, Crisis Aid and Emergency Treatment, they're not bad, but I really wish there was some sort of AoE, like her ultimate should be AoE and this should be single target or something. It's already too late. The game's out. They're not going to buff her, but having 3 different single target heals is kind of weird. Like, you probably don't even want one outside of this, but thematically I can understand a dedicated heal, an attack heal, and then something, maybe even just buffs or something instead, but it's basically a debuff heal. So I'm not super happy with her kit, her overall kit. However, I actually think this is on a 1-turn cooldown, so all you have to do is every other turn you just heal somebody, right, with this, or you just attack, and then you basically have this up every other turn, and it's just a fantastic, because you get to do a bunch of action supports, you get to heal people, and do everything you want to be doing. Now, as far as her, I was gonna go over some of these, but I think that'll be more in a dedicated video. But I did want to say, yeah, when Battlefield Glow is enhanced, it also recovers HP to allied targets within 3 tiles. So this makes Battlefield Glow even better. They all restore HP. It's a very, very good ability, and the fact that they have a pretty powerful buff to it as well. Again, this is that AoE healing, but again, it's already on her best ability that you want to be using all the time, which is good. But you might actually want something that makes that every other turn a little bit better as well, but who knows. But yeah, guys, this video went on longer than I was expecting, but those are the 5 most powerful lower rarity characters in my opinion. Let me know. So the ones I didn't talk about: Frolic, Xena, Nagant, and Cheetah. I think they all are weaker than the units I've spoken about for different reasons, but you let me know what you're thinking. Anyway, I'm gonna get this video edited and then I'm gonna get it out to you guys. Anyway, much love. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. I'll see you on the flip flops. Bye.